Welcome to the Statler Financial Radio Show with Phillip Stattler. Have a question for the show or need assistance with your retirement plan? Give Phillip a call today. 863-285-3815. 863-285-3815.
There's still no relief from the impact of inflation, and it's cramping our style in more ways than one, from your summer vacation with your family to the cost of your daughter's summer wedding, all the way to your lifestyle and retirement. And now analysts are saying higher prices are having an impact on how we are saving. We've got a lot to get to today. Thanks so much for joining us on the Statler Financial Radio Show with Phillip Stattler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services. And Phillip, boy, inflation, as I said, this is kind of cramping our style. But before we get into it,
I mean, I know you've probably been to the grocery store, right? I mean, I think I made a couple trips to the grocery store last week, and it's like, I didn't walk out with a lot, but except for a big bill.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you look at how far $100 goes and just how full your grocery cart is with $100, and you can walk out with just a couple bags and you've spent $100 easy.
It's scary. I mean, what inflation's doing, and I just don't see it. I just don't see it being tamed down anytime soon.
Right. But here's the thing. We are seeing conflicting opinions on that, because there are some analysts who think it's peaked and it's going to start to go down. But then there are others who think this is going to continue to be a pain point and we have not seen the top, especially with things like energy prices. I mean, boy, Phillip, you talk about how much it hurts at the grocery store, at the gas pump. It really hurts. So what do retirees need to be thinking about doing right now?
Well, it depends on what their circumstances are right now. I mean, obviously, I'm seeing some folks cutting back a little bit on travel because travel's just gotten expensive. And so I think what folks really need to do is they need to, hopefully they had a plan, but if they don't, they need to be cautious about what they're spending right now. And it can be a problem if they're taking money out of their portfolio or out of mutual funds or out of one of those things as their monthly distribution. That could be a little bit of a problem going down as we continue to see this volatility. But the volatility is one side, and then we got prices going up, like you said, on the other side, and people need more money out of their accounts. And it's just it's a tough spot for retirees to be in there. It's a tough spot for anybody to be in, but especially for retirees that are more likely than not to be more on a fixed income than other folks.
And here's what we're seeing here as well. The Commerce Department, the U.S. Commerce Department says because of inflation, the personal savings rate has fallen. And it's actually fallen to levels we haven't seen since 2008. So let's talk about why that could be considered problematic or a red flag.
Well, so what that means, Jen, is that people, instead of saving, because of inflation, they need that money to go to the grocery store to buy food for their kids, And so that's what the issue becomes right there, is that, because inflation is so much, gas prices, gas prices are almost doubled, right? From what they were, and probably more than double from what their lows were back in 2020. So it is a problem. It's a red flag because that means people aren't saving for down the road, right? They're not saving for retirement. They're reducing what they're putting into their 401k.
They can't afford to save, or they feel like they can't afford to. Yeah.
And it's a double-edged sword, right? Because here's the deal. They're not putting money into that 401k. That 401k goes out and buys stock, mutual funds in the market, right? So now they've cut back. When the market's so volatile, it's a great time to be buying, right? If you got time to wait for the market to come back up, and they're missing out on that opportunity. So it's kind of a double-edged sword there, Jen.
What kind of conversations do you have with clients who don't really like the higher costs right now, but they also don't like that idea of drastically changing their lifestyle? I mean, we talk about that for people want to maintain their lifestyle in retirement, right?
You're right, Jen. They do. And I'll be honest with you. I'm going through a review cycle right now. And so we're seeing a lot of folks. We complain about higher costs, but I haven't got to that demand destruction yet.
Okay.
I don't see anybody
You're not seeing that yet.
That is changing their lifestyle because other than cutting back on travel a little bit just because they don't want to write that check. Their general lifestyle I'm not seeing a big change there. I will say this, though. One of my concerns, you talk about their demand destruction comes when savings kind of runs out. I'll put a little caveat in there, right? Because some people don't have any savings.
Yeah.
They're putting it on credit.
Yeah.
That demand destruction will happen when credit limits are reached.
Okay.
That's when I believe we'll start to see a major impact on our economy. And we're not there yet.
That's a really good point, because as long as you do have that open line of credit, you can still get away with some of those extra expenses. But then you're right. Once that caps out, that's when you have no choice but to cut back. Now, for those who are heading into retirement, though, Phillip, the idea of maintaining your current lifestyle, I imagine that's important for everybody that you help. So talk about creating that budget and that retirement income strategy so we can maintain our lifestyle. And it might look a little different because of our current economic conditions, but we don't want to be pinching pennies in retirement. Nobody wants to go from a rather comfortable lifestyle to being afraid they can't afford anything. So talk about your process for helping put that plan in place.
So, Jen, that's why we developed the core retirement design, so that folks can design the retirement they always dreamed of. And part of that process is really and truly creating that income strategy. And before you can create the income strategy, you got to know what you're spending. You got to know what the budget is. I know nobody likes that word, but we truly need to get a realistic budget in place. So then we can build the income strategy to make sure that we've got a comfortable retirement. And it all boils down to those two things, right? Is putting together that income strategy with bumps in it so that you can get increases down the road to help cover things like we're going through right now, this increase in inflation. Now, look, if you don't have that, and let me just say, most people don't. Of all the folks that I've met with over the years, I can probably put it on two hands the most people I've seen that actually have some kind of income strategy in place. You need to have a written retirement income plan in place to have the retirement you always dreamed of. If you don't, give us a call, 863-285-3815, and let's schedule our core retirement phone consultation where we'll answer your questions. We'll see if you're on the right track for the retirement you always dreamed of. Again, that number is 863-285-3815. It's a simple phone call. Schedule your core retirement phone consultation where we can help you make sure you're on the right track for the retirement you always dreamed of.
That number again, 863-285-3815. Phillip, how are you helping people keep on track with their savings goals when we're dealing with such high prices right now? That is a real challenge when the grocery bills go up, but you still want to try to save.
So one thing we're trying to do is, because people are getting raises, right? They're getting some bumps in income. So we used to always say, hey, look, take that bump, put it in the 401k, put it in your retirement plan, save it. So one area that we're kind of cutting back a little bit right now, just to get through this little time period, is, all right, maybe take half your raise and put it towards your 401k. The other half helps offset some of the inflationary period we're in right now.
Can't necessarily take the whole thing and save it anymore.
Right. Okay. Let's at least take a little bit of it. And worst case scenario, hey, let's keep doing what we're doing. Take your raise and use it towards inflation. But that's the worst case scenario.
Because right now, as we've been talking about, inflation, it's such an issue. This is the highest we've seen in 40 years. And these persistent higher prices are starting to impact how we're spending. And Phillip, it is even causing some of us to cut back on our saving.
Jen, unfortunately, that's the reality. Inflation never sleeps. It never stops. There's a song like that, isn't there? So it might ramp up or it could slow down, but it never, ever goes away. If you want to maintain your current standard of living in retirement, get this, you have to understand what rising inflation can do to your retirement savings. And you got to protect your savings. So today, folks, I'm offering you no cost, no obligation, a 30-minute core retirement phone consultation where we'll answer your questions, make sure you're on the right track for the retirement you always dreamed of. To do that, all you have to do is give us a call at 863-285-3815. We'll look at things about where you are now. What do you need to be doing different? What can we help you with? Again, there's no cost, no obligation. Folks, it's just for you that are listening today who've saved at least $150,000 for your retirement. call us now at 863-285-3815 and schedule your core retirement phone consultation. It's that simple. It's non-threatening. We'll have a nice conversation. Make sure you're on the right path. Again, the number is 863-285-3815.
This is the Statler Financial Radio Show. We'll be back.
Turn your plans of yesterday into yes today. Don't wait another day for a routine checkup of your retirement plans. Call Statler Financial Services, 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
This is your captain speaking. We're expecting fair skies, a smooth flight, and about a 85% chance or so of making it to our destination. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the flight.
Would you stay on that plane? Of course not. Well, do you have a retirement plan where you probably won't run out of money? You need a plan that no matter the destination will help you get to and through retirement successfully. Phillip Stattler and the team at Statler Financial Services can design a plan to help you get to your destination as comfortably as possible, even if Wall Street or the economy causes some turbulence. Call Phillip Stattler and the Statler Financial Services team to start working on your plan. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Get a plan designed to allow you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the retirement you've worked so hard for. 863-285-3815. Firm offers insurance services, advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show. I am Jen Rezac, happy to be here alongside Phillip Stattler. Phillip is the inaugural Highlander Award winner for Financial Representative of the Year. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services in Sebring, and Phillip knows very well that it's a lot easier to get a job done if you have the right tools. And we want to help you understand that the financial tools you need for retirement are a little different from what you used during your working years. We want to talk about that and help you pack your retirement toolkit. And Phillip, I mean, you know what I'm talking about here, right? When you're trying to get something done around the house, for example, and you don't have the right tools to finish the project. I mean, it's a mess. Has this ever happened to you?
So I'm going to talk about two things right here.
Okay.
One is a simple one, right? My truck.
Yes.
Not the house, but truck. I wanted to put change the front plate on my truck, right? It had a FSU tag there. I wanted to take it off, put my new one on. And I went down there and I thought it was an Allen wrench, a simple Allen wrench. I went and got my Allen wrenches. None of them would fit. And I looked at it and says, well, it don't even look like an Allen wrench. And so I went to the store and I got something else that looked like that's what it was. Came back, tried that. It was the wrong tool again. So I ended up taking it to the dealership just to get my license plate changed because I couldn't figure out what tool I needed to fix the goddamn thing. So it's that's one of those things. The other one that really sits in the back of my head, and I try not to remember this one too much, is I decided to remodel my bathroom by myself.
Oh, how'd that go?
I know you and I don't know each other very, very well, but I'm not a handy person at all. I made a lot of trips to the hardware store to get stuff that I didn't have and needed for that project. So, and it's frustrating, right? When you get in those situations.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, you think about some of these situations you've been in. If you had a hammer, there are some things that you could technically get done, maybe not well, than if you needed a wrench and maybe try to just knock the thing off with a hammer. It could have gotten the job done, but maybe a little bit messier. So I think that kind of brings in our point here.
The other thing that just hit me is that the biggest frustration is not knowing what tool I needed. Yeah. Especially trying to change the daggum license plate, right? I didn't know what tool I needed.
Right.
And so I had to take it to the dealership to get a simple license plate changed.
Yeah, it's so, yeah, you're exactly right. It is so frustrating when you just can't figure out what it is that you need. And I think that is a perfect segue into talking about these financial tools, trying to figure out exactly what the financial tools that we need, what those things are. And if you do a search for retirement tools, I did this, you get millions of search results. So there's a lot to search through. I mean, Phillip, you think about your frustration trying to find the right wrench. Now there's millions of hits and you're trying to sort through this. One of them that I found that I thought was kind of interesting was from the Department of Labor. It was a federal government called a retirement toolkit, this PDF that you could download. And I looked through it, and it had some resources about Social Security. It had some articles about Medicare, and then it had a couple things about the basics of retirement savings plans. So that was in the federal government's little retirement toolkit: Social Security, Medicare, and retirement savings plans. What would you say might be missing from that list? What else would you say needs to be in our retirement toolkit?
I looked at that list, and there's a lot of missing stuff in that list. I mean, I think the timeline that they put in that article is good. I mean, when you should start doing certain things.
Okay.
Outside of that, it doesn't give you really and truly any strategies or investment tools that you can use. I think the biggest thing is what tools do I need? And I'll just tell you that, if you go to certain people, you're going to get their tools that are available to them, and they don't have any access to any other tools.
Okay.
Like when you go to Ford, you're going to get Ford dealership. They're going to use Ford parts. They're going to do all that stuff. It's going to be specific to them. And so where if you went to a regular mechanic outside of the dealership, they're going to pick and choose whatever is going to work the best and maybe save you some money too, right, on the parts they buy. Right. And it's the same thing in the financial world. Not everybody has access to all the same tools out there. Being an independent advisor, we do. We have access to all the tools to put together the retirement plan that's going to be there and it's going to be needed. And so I think that's the key. And part of that whole key is risk. How much risk do you have in your portfolio? What tools are you using to mitigate some of that risk? And if you don't know, that's where we come in.
Yeah.
That's why we developed the financial x-ray. Part of that financial x-ray is to help you determine, number one, what is the amount of risk that's appropriate for you? Number two, how much risk do you have in your current portfolio? If you don't know the answers to those two questions on a scale of 1 to 100, you need to give us a call. It's that simple. The number to call is 863-285-3815. 863-285-3815. Give us a call and let us help you find out how much risk you have in your portfolio and make sure that it's the right amount of risk for you personally. And that's what we do at Statler Financial. 863-285-3815.
Talking today with Phillip Stattler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services in Sebring, talking about our retirement toolkit, because it is frustrating when you think about that idea of trying to accomplish something and not having the right tools. This is frustrating when we think about a car repair project or a home improvement project. It's also really frustrating to think about when it comes to our financial goals. And I think that's part of it as well, Phillip. Sometimes we don't understand that certain tools are going to be used in certain ways, right? So if we are looking for growth and we have an annuity, we might be very frustrated and saying, well, this is not a good tool, but we're not using it the right way. So how do we get some help matching up the right tools for the goals, for the job that we're trying to accomplish?
And Jim, that's a good point, because I have to remind clients of that all the time, is that, they're disappointed in the earnings of an annuity or they're disappointed because of the ups and downs of the marketplace. And so we have to remind that, hey, everything that we do has a specific job and a specific task in place. That's one reason that we run through that risk analysis, right? Because we want to know what tools we should be selecting from. And that risk analysis really gives us that different options of what tools would work best in your circumstances. And so whether we need a lot of income whether we need more safety because, you don't want a lot of risk in your portfolio. All these things will help determine what tools we are going to use, whether that's an annuity, whether that's a real estate investment trust, whether that's just mutual funds and stocks. We don't know until we sit down and put together a plan. Anybody that just puts you in an investment without having a plan in place, that is problematic from the beginning. Jim.
Right. So let's say, Phillip, that our goal is generating income. That's the job that we are trying to get done with our money. What are some of the tools that we might use for that?
So there's a vast array, right? So there's CDs, right, and other safe investments. Now there's problems with that, right? Because they don't pay anything. We're not going to really generate much income.
Right.
We're going to use our principal. You can use a laddered bond portfolio, using the interest from the bonds and just put them on a short-term laddering schedule, 3 to 5 years. You're going to ladder them out. You could look at a stock dividend portfolio, a portfolio that has specifically put together to generate dividends, and those dividends get paid out to folks. High yield bonds, high yield corporate debt, systematic withdrawals from a balanced portfolio. Now I see that one a lot, and I will tell you that it can cause people some headaches because of the ups and downs in the market.
Sure.
While they're taking money out of that portfolio.
Okay.
Not the best strategy that I've seen. There's an immediate annuity.
Mm-hmm.
You put money in, you're going to get a lifetime income. Variable annuities with some kind of guaranteed income feature will create that income that you may need. And then a holistic retirement asset allocation plan. Which lends itself to putting together a portfolio that's very well diversified. And so you know where the money's coming from each and every month. And then for us, we like the bucket approach, right? It's kind of like the holistic retirement asset allocation plan, but we use money in buckets or silos. And that's worked well for our clients.
Okay, so those are some ideas for income. Let's talk about if our goal is growth. That now we're looking at some different tools. What are some of the things that we might think about there?
So here we look at things like stocks, right? Stock market, having a diversified portfolio of growth stocks, using a mutual fund that you have somebody that's doing those allocations for you, using an ETF. Using a real estate investment trust will give you maybe some growth. It's more towards income, but it is a possibility to give us kind of an in-between growth and income, as well as an indexed annuity will give you kind of both, right? It'll give you some expectations for growth, but could also be used for the income side. And with any type of a tool that you use, they all have different things. Stock market, you have the risk of ups and downs. Annuities, you have surrender charges and liquidation requirements. You can only take out so much a year. So there's different things with each of these tools that we need to understand and know that we're using those tools because of what they'll do and how they'll do it.
Right. And that's, again, your process for helping us put those tools into place in the right way. It's called the Financial X-ray Report. And you do things like help us find the right balance between growth and safety, putting the right money in growth versus income. That's what your whole process is all about.
That's right. So the whole thing about creating that financial X-ray is to make you aware of where you currently stand in relationship to your portfolio and how much risk it has. The second part of that is how can we take that portfolio and minimize the risk so that it's appropriate for you? And there's several ways that we do that. And it all depends on what that number looks like for you. To find out what your number is, between 1 and 100, give us a call, 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. And let's get started with your financial X-ray. 863-285-3815.
This is the Statler Financial Radio Show. We'll be back.
If you have a retirement plan and would like a second opinion, call Statler Financial Services today. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
From the pitch, swung at a little too soon.
Strike three, you're out.
To the joke told at the wrong time. To barely missing your connecting flight.
This is the final boarding call for Flight 109 to Chicago.
Timing is everything. The same is true for your Social Security benefits. Take them too soon and you can leave a lot of money on the table. Take them too late and you might spend down too much of your savings. Everybody's situation can be different, but taking your Social Security benefits at the right time is important for your retirement success. Phillip Stattler at Statler Financial understands Social Security and can help you make decisions that are best for you and your retirement dreams. Call 863-285-3815 to start optimizing your benefits. With Social Security, timing is everything, so don't delay. Call Phillip Stattler at Statler Financial today. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Our firm offers insurance services and is not affiliated with the U.S. government. Advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services, Inc., a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show. I am Jen Rezac, happy to be here alongside Phillip Stattler. He is president and CEO of Statler Financial Services here in Sebring. Phillip is the inaugural Highlander Award winner for Financial Representative of the Year, talking with me today about packing our retirement toolkit. There are so many financial tools out there. It seems like there should be a solution for just about every problem. But here's one of the issues that we have. First of all, Phillip, and we talked about this earlier, if you only have a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. Here's the other thing. Sometimes we have an emotional reaction to certain tools or products. We reject them based on what we've heard or what we assume. And we don't do this with physical tools, Phillip. Nobody says, oh, I don't like screwdrivers, so I'm never going to use one in anything ever. But we do this with money. Talk about that and why that's a dangerous line of thinking.
Well, you're right. They do. I can't tell you how many times I've sat down with folks and we run the risk analysis and they need more safety. And we start talking about annuities and indexed annuities. And all of a sudden you see the whites of their eyes light up. And it's like, oh, no. We can't do that.
Right.
Why? Why can't you? Do you know, have you used them before? Oh, no. But my brother-in-law told me, it's terrible. We should never use those. Well, it's a tool. And if used properly in the right circumstances, will do you justice in your portfolio. I get the flip side of that, right? I sit down with folks and usually that person I say the annuity word to, they've got everything in stocks and mutual funds.
Yikes.
Now take the next person, we run their risk analysis number and they have all their money sitting in CDs. And they need more risk. We need to look at, for you, a very conservative tactical portfolio. Oh, no. We're not going to go in the stock market. So, because all they've seen, all they've heard is bad things. Right? They don't look at, they do hear about their, the guy on the golf course that said he made 100%, but he stretched, it's like a fishing story, right? So, but that's the problem is people look at those tools and those tools used properly will give you the results that you need. And I think, look, you're hiring a professional, right? If you went to a contractor and said, look, I need you to build my house, but I'm against you beating nails with a hammer. You can't use a hammer.
Doesn't make sense.
How are they going to build your house?
Right.
They can't. You got to look at all the tools and what they're designed to do. And as long as you're using them for what they're designed to do, that's what you should use them for.
Right. And you know what? I like that word that you used a few moments ago when you said we need to get tactical here. That's an important part of this. We don't want to be just randomly picking and choosing where we're going to put our money, going through and just clicking on different places online and saying, okay, I'll try some here, and some here. We need to be tactical with this. That's what helps us make sure our money's going to last. I just want to clue in on that word for just a second because I think that's an important word that you used.
Well, that's true. And so I've learned a long time ago because I've lived through 2 major bear markets, right?
Yeah.
And And what I learned in those bear markets is that, hey, having that pretty pie chart asset allocation, it didn't work. It didn't work in 2000 or 2008. If you were in that pie chart in a conservative portfolio, you still lost money.
Yeah.
And so that taught me that you need a well-devised tactical portfolio that does look at the economic situation. It looks at how high the stock market is getting. It looks at all these other factors to build its portfolio. And it's different than just buy and hold.
Right.
Just being tactical means, hey, there may be times that we make wholesale changes in that portfolio. And there may be times that we don't make any changes. There may be times that we take risk off the table, so we don't have as much risk in that portfolio. Versus buy and hold, you don't make any changes. Maybe once a year you come in and do a little bit of change here or there. It's just a different mindset. And over the years, my experience has taught me that tactical has worked better over time.
Right. So let me just put that out there. If you have been working with somebody and that word tactical strategy, if you don't think those things are being addressed in a way that makes sense for you, or if you don't feel like there has been a change in those strategies, in those tactics after you got into retirement, 863-285-3815 is the way to reach Phillip Stattler at Statler Financial Services. That's 863-285-3815. And also, Phillip, we can go to your website and get on the calendar as well, right? StatlerFinancial.com.
That's right. You go to StatlerFinancial.com, and there is a calendar link there that you can get to my calendar. And again, the number is 863-285-3815. To schedule a time just to sit down and analyze your portfolio. Because the other part of that, Jen, is, have you had any changes made in your portfolio at all in the last year? If not, you're not in a tactical portfolio.
Great point. Again, 863-285-3815. And if you'd like to just put yourself on Phillip's calendar, go to StatlerFinancial.com and you can do that there as well. StatlerFinancial.com. As we're talking about this retirement toolkit, Phillip, another financial tool that's out there is life insurance. And this is one of those things, I have a young family. I have 4 kids. We still have a mortgage. So obviously life insurance is a part of my financial plan, what my husband and I have. We have life insurance for the kids. How could that potentially fit into a retirement toolkit, though?
Well, that's a good point. So most people think they get to retirement, they don't need life insurance anymore. And some people stay away from permanent life insurance because they only want it for a certain period of time. And I understand all those different theories and different philosophies around life insurance. But there's 2 areas that I think life insurance, if started early enough, now that it could make some sense. One is that a permanent life insurance policy started young enough and funded on a well-balanced plan could create income in retirement.
Okay.
If planned properly and done right, it could being the primary word there, produce some income in retirement. The other important aspect of it is that most life insurance policies today will have a couple different riders associated with it. They'll have a long-term care rider sometimes, but most of them have a terminal illness rider. And the terminal illness rider says, "Babe, look, if a doctor says I'm going to die sometime in the next 12 months, then you can have access to some of that death benefit."
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that becomes important. And for those that have a long-term care rider, then that life insurance policy could double as a partial, not a full, long-term care benefit for you. And every policy is different. You need to understand exactly what you have to see what benefits are available for you down the road. But that is a possibility. It could be there for that issue if you have the right type of permanent policy.
Right. And it's interesting when you talk about some of those options, some of those riders, some of those things available on life insurance policies today, on some of them that perhaps weren't there, years and years ago. What about things like long-term care? That is we have some different tools and solutions to deal with that. We used to have these traditional standalone long-term care policies, but you were just talking to some of the options potentially with long-term care. So a lot of the tools that we have today are different for today's retirees. You need to keep that in mind if you're getting some advice from your father-in-law or your aunt or your neighbor, right? The tools that we have today might be different from what they were using.
That's right. If you have a policy, if you have a policy that you had 20, 25 years ago, it may not have any of this stuff in it. So it may make sense to say, okay, what's out there today? Can I take what I have and put it into something new? Maybe not, but it may be worth that discussion, Jen, to find out if that would put you in a better place financially going forward.
So, Phillip, let's talk about how you help somebody find the right combination of tools for a comprehensive strategy, how you help them figure out what needs to be in income, what needs to be in growth. What are the concerns that we need to address as it relates to things like long-term care and healthcare? How do you help somebody build that comprehensive strategy that's going to handle all these different aspects?
So that's a good question, Jen, and it boils down to a couple different things. One is the financial x-ray, where we determine, based on that, how much risk you can tolerate within your portfolio. Second, we're going to look at what we call the rule of 100. And that is going to say, hey, we're going to take 100 minus your age, and that's going to give us some idea of how much you should have risk in your portfolio. Is it exact science? No. That number gets tweaked plus or minus depending on your current circumstances. But that's the second way we look at risk. And the third thing we do is we build a financial income plan, a retirement income plan that is written down for you. And that retirement income plan, like I said in the past, we use a bucket approach. So we're going to use a bucket, and certain buckets are going to last certain amounts of time. And over time, it's going to grow and still provide you the income you're going to need. And so based on that plan that we put together, then we look and see what tool do we need for each of those buckets. And that could be drastically different for you than it is for my grandmother. It's going to be different. So it's not one size fits all. It's going to depend upon the person, how much income they need, how much risk they can tolerate, as to which tools we're going to use. But we're going to walk through a process to get to the answer to that question. And if you don't have a written retirement income plan, that could be an issue, right? How do you know what tools to put in place if you don't have a plan in place? Give us a call and let us help you determine, one, how much risk you have, two, what that income plan needs to look for you, and what the right tools are to put into that plan. Give us a call at 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. I'd love to sit down with you and coach you into and through retirement. That number one more time is 863-285-3815.
This is the Statler Financial Radio Show. We'll be back.
This is your captain speaking. We're expecting fair skies, a smooth flight, and about a 85% chance or so of making it to our destination. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the flight.
Would you stay on that plane? Of course not. Well, do you have a retirement plan where you probably won't run out of money? You need a plan that no matter the destination will help you get to and through retirement successfully. Phillip Stattler and the team at Statler Financial Services can design a plan to help you get to your destination as comfortably as possible, even if Wall Street or the economy causes some turbulence. Call Phillip Stattler and the Statler Financial Services team to start working on your plan. 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. Get a plan designed to allow you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the retirement you've worked so hard for. 863-285-3815. Firm offers insurance services. Advisory services offered through Statler Financial Services Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm in the state of Florida. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Thanks for joining us today on the Statler Financial Radio Show. I'm Jen Rezac, happy to be here with Phillip Stattler. He's president and CEO of Statler Financial Services. StatlerFinancial.com is the website if you'd like to learn a little bit more. Phillip, there are some words of wisdom that truly stand the test of time, and we want to share some of that timeless advice here on the show today because some of it can really relate to how you think about your money, how you prepare for retirement. So I have some quotes here. These are from some different people throughout our nations and our world's history, and I want you to kind of relate this back to retirement planning or financial decisions for us, Phillip. So I think we have a pretty good collection of quotes here today. Our first one comes from Ralph Waldo Emerson. I have to say, I really love this one, Phillip. He wrote, "The desire of gold is not for gold. It is for the means of freedom and benefit." I love that quote. What does that tell you about how we should be thinking about our money for retirement?
That is a great quote. And, it's funny. I don't know that I've really ever seen that quote before, but it relates well with a lot of things that I do in my business. Because, one of the things we do is we do a goal setting session every year to get ready for the new year. And so we talk about what is financial freedom, right? What is it? And so this is really saying that it's not the money. It's not having that stockpile of money. It's what does that money do for you? What feeling does it give you? So for most people, having that gives them a sense of security, certainty. They know, hey, I've got this. That's more than enough to get me through retirement. So I have that certainty of knowing that that pot of gold or that portfolio is enough. I've got the freedom and I can benefit from that. And so that brings certainty to our life. And we all want certainty. There's certain things that we all want in life, and certainty is one of them. Freedom is the other, right? So we want the freedom to be able to do the things we want to do. One of the things I think that having that retirement plan in place is it gives us some freedom. And that freedom is we've got a portfolio here. We've got a retirement income plan in place. And so that gives us the freedom to spend the money that we've outlined within that plan. And that's total freedom. And retirees, especially those people that are retired, they love that ability that they've got the certainty of the income coming in, and it allows them the freedom to do what they've always wanted to do in retirement and have the retirement they always dreamed of. What more could you ask for, Jim?
The other thing I think this relates to is when you look at that quote again, the desire for gold is not for gold. People might want an annuity or something for what it does for them. It's not because they want the annuity, or we don't love our 401k because it's a 401k. We like that it helps us build up our savings for retirement. We don't like our mutual fund because we love mutual funds. We like the benefit that we see that it gives us. And I just think that's something to keep in mind. We don't want to get all keyed up or caught up in wanting a certain investment because really we just want what it can do for us down the road.
That's so true. You're right. That is true. I mean, some people unfortunately do get caught up, right, in the investment instead of the freedoms and the benefit that tool may use. And they forget that portfolio, that mutual fund, that annuity, whatever it is a tool. It's just a tool. It's no different than, needing to use instead of a regular shovel, using a post hole shovel to dig up a thing to put the post into.
Right.
It's much easier to use a post hole digger than it is to use a regular shovel, right? So it's using the right tool for the right thing to get you into and through retirement. People forget that. They get caught up in the tools and not the outcome. And it's the outcome they need to realize is that, hey, look, it's having that benefit, having that income, that certainty of knowing the plan I put into place is going to work no matter what happens. that's the benefit of having that pot of gold that Emerson talks about there.
Love that quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. Let's move on. This is a pretty straightforward one with our timeless advice. This one's from Thomas Jefferson. Very refreshing for someone who is a head of government to have this mindset. Never spend your money before you've earned it. Right? Let's talk about how important it is to live that way, live within your means before and during retirement.
You know, if Thomas Jefferson would have made that a law, we'd be in better shape today.
Different for sure.
So, it's kind of like, a bird in the hand is better than two in the bush. And so it's the same concept, right? Don't count your eggs before they hatch, because they may not hatch the way you think they are. And so, so here, I think we're talking more about debt, spending money you don't have today, to get the things that you think you want today in order to keep up with the Joneses. And that's dangerous from the get-go. We don't want to be in that situation where we're hoping that our portfolio does what it needs to do to generate the income that I'm counting on for retirement. That's one area that we want certainty, is our retirement income plan. We want the certainty that we know that income is going to come in month over month, year over year, like we anticipated. So we don't want to be, spending money that we haven't earned yet. We want to have a system in place that we know what that's going to be, and it's reliable to get us through that period of time. And so I think in both of these quotes, we really, give us good credence to why we should have a written retirement income plan. And again, I know it's like beating a dead horse a lot of times, Jen, but on this show, we talk about it a lot, is that, most of the folks I sit down with do not have a written retirement income plan. They're taking money from here or there, everywhere else, like our junk drawer analogy, but they don't have a plan of where it's all coming from and how it all works together. That's why I believe you need to have a written retirement income plan. To get started on yours, give me a call at 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815 to get started on your retirement income plan.
Talking today with Phillip Stattler. He's president and CEO of Statler Financial Services, going through quotes from different figures throughout our history and seeing how they relate to retirement. And this is another one similar to the one we just heard from Thomas Jefferson, another one on making prudent financial decisions, but from Confucius. So a different era altogether. He said, when prosperity comes, do not use all of it. How do you make sure you have a strategy so you don't use all of it when you have prosperity? I thought that was a really interesting one.
It is a good one, and that can be difficult, right? Because if prosperity comes, you've got this great year, you hit the home run, and now I've got all this prosperity, this money. Now what do I do? And the average person is going to do what? They're going to go spend it. And so I think that it is prudent for people to put back money, right? Not just for a rainy day, but a rainy day is a good reason to put money back, but also for retirement, for other things, so that we're not going into debt down the road. Those are areas that I think that we need to use our prosperity to provide for ourselves down the road when prosperity may be gone or we may be on hard times. And so by putting away money, that will be helpful when we come up on some lean times. And so don't let prosperity get the best of you, because you and I both know we see it all the time that happens. So put some back for today so that you got it for a rainy day.
And one last one. I saved the best one for last. This one is from Teddy Roosevelt. And oh my gosh, I chuckle when I read it. If you could kick the person in the pants responsible for most of your trouble, you wouldn't sit for a month. This one just makes me laugh. And it's true, Phillip. I mean, how often are we getting in our own way when it comes to making smart decisions with our money?
I'm going to say probably, maybe not all the time, but 99.9% of the time, it comes back to us, right? I mean, people will try to blame somebody else, but it started with a decision that you made at some point in time that got you where you are. And so whether that's you bought something that you shouldn't have bought and you bought it on credit, or you made an investment that sounded too good to be true. And I can give you a laundry list of folks that have done that. They've made that investment in something that sounded so good that it was really too good to be true, but they went in anyway, instead of walking through the process to make sure it was a sound deal. So we see that, and so a lot of times it is us that is in the way. We're afraid to make a change. And so we stay doing the same thing over and over again. And you know what? We end up with the same result, even though we so badly want something different. Well, you've got to be willing to make changes. And you need to bounce things off of other folks that can guide you, coach you into and through retirement. And so that maybe you can kick yourself less, right? If you have somebody to bounce things off of, to walk through your scenario, then maybe you don't kick yourself so many times in the tail. You're better off. I can think of a couple folks, a couple clients I have that they're very good about calling me before they do anything. So they are bouncing stuff off of me. Does this make sense? Should I do this? And we can walk through it together and bounce things off. And it gives them a clearer picture of what they're trying to accomplish and whether or not that specific thing is the right direction for them to go. And I know that probably doesn't actually, relate to so much that saying, but it is, right? If we try to do stuff on our own, we're going to end up kicking ourselves a lot. If you got a coach to coach you through, a resource to bounce things off of, that in itself will allow you to make less mistakes, keeping you on the right track for your retirement. Hey, let's get started together today. Give me a call at 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815. I would love to be your retirement coach. Let's get started. It just takes a phone call, 863-285-3815.
You've been listening to the Statler Financial Radio Show. Remember that number, 863-285-3815, and be sure to tune in again next time for more insights from Phillip. I'm Jen Rezac. We're glad you spent some time with us here today. We hope you have a great week, and we'll talk to you next time.
Turn your plans of yesterday into yes today. Don't wait another day for a routine checkup of your retirement plans. Call Statler Financial Services, 863-285-3815. That's 863-285-3815.
Information provided during the Statler Financial Radio Show is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but their accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Individuals should thoroughly review the contract for specific details of the product features and costs. Income payments and withdrawals from deferred annuities are generally taxable as ordinary income in the year they are taken. All investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. No strategy is guaranteed to be successful.
This radio show is a paid placement.